The wine hit Sandra's face like a slap, cold and vicious, the red liquid soaking through her navy blazer while every conversation in the penthouse died. Richard Whitmore stood there with his empty glass, that smug smile carved across his flushed face like he'd just won something instead of humiliating someone in front of Atlanta's elite. "That's what happens when assistants forget their place," he slurred, loud enough to carry across the marble floors. "Maybe next time you'll remember who actually matters at Whitmore Industries." Sandra stood frozen, champagne dripping down her cheeks, pooling at her collar, feeling every pair of eyes burning into her skin. Her hands trembled, but she wouldn't cry. She couldn't. Not here. Not in front of these people who probably thought she deserved it anyway for daring to exist in their world. The elevator chimed across the room. Everything shifted. Hyun-Woo stepped out and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. His black suit was perfect. His expression carved from ice. But it was his eyes that made people step back. Cold, calculated, dangerous. His security team fanned out behind him, hands resting near concealed weapons that suddenly seemed very visible, very real. "What?" he said quietly, his slight accent wrapping around words that felt like a death sentence. "Did you just do to my fiancé?" Richard's face went from smug to confused to absolutely terrified in 3 seconds. His glass slipped from his fingers, shattering near his $1,000 shoes. Nobody looked down. They were all watching Hyun-Woo close the distance between them like a predator who'd just spotted wounded prey. I didn't know," Richard stammered, backing into the bar. "Nobody told me she's just an assistant." "Just an assistant." Hyun-Woo repeated the words like they were poison. He pulled out a silk handkerchief, turning to Sandra with an expression that shifted completely, all that ice melting into something that made her chest ache. "Are you hurt?" Sandra shook her head, not trusting her voice. Hyun-Woo gently wiped champagne from her face, his touch so careful it made her want to break down right there. Then he turned back to Richard, and the warmth vanished like it had never existed. "You have 10 seconds to apologize," Hyun-Woo said softly, "and then I make phone calls you really don't want me to make." "Apologize? Listen, I don't know who you think you are." Hyun-Woo pulled out his phone. 2 of his security team moved closer to Richard, their presence suddenly very threatening. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Park Hyun-Woo," and the name rippled through the room like a shockwave. "Wait," Victoria Whitmore pushed through, looking panicked. "Mr. Park, please, my husband had too much to drink." He poured wine on her face and called her just an assistant. Hyun-Woo's voice hadn't gotten louder, but somehow it filled the entire penthouse. "In my world, when someone shows you who they are, you believe them. Your husband just showed everyone here exactly who he is." Richard's face had gone pale. More whispers now, about connections and Asian markets and how Whitmore Industries had been desperately trying to expand overseas. "I'm sorry," Richard choked out, looking at Sandra. "I didn't know you were engaged to... I shouldn't have done that regardless." Too late. Hyun-Woo's smile was absolutely terrifying in its pleasantness. "My team will contact you about withdrawing our investment considerations. Also, your board members just received very interesting information about your expense accounts. Approximately," he checked his watch, 4 minutes ago." Victoria made a strangled sound. Richard looked like he might vomit. Hyun-Woo took Sandra's hand, his grip steady and warm. "We're leaving." The elevator doors closed on chaos, Victoria's hissing accusations and the crowd's frantic whispers fading as they descended. As soon as they were alone, Hyun-Woo's entire demeanor changed. He cupped Sandra's face so gently, his thumbs brushing her cheeks. "Are you okay?" His voice cracked slightly. "Tell me honestly." Sandra's voice broke, humiliated, angry. "How did you even know I was here?" "You think I don't know where you are?" He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Your calendar syncs to mine. When I saw Whitmore Industries event, I got concerned. That family has a reputation. You can't destroy someone's career every time they're rude to me. Watch me." He said it like it was the simplest thing in the world. You deserve respect. If they won't give it willingly, I'll teach them. His car waited outside, sleek and black with tinted windows. Inside, he immediately grabbed a clean towel and bottled water from the console, helping her clean the remaining champagne from her skin and hair. We're stopping at your place so you can change, he said, threading their fingers together. Then I'm taking you somewhere. Hyun-Woo, I have work tomorrow. Call in sick. He caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. Please, I need to take care of you tonight. Something in his voice made her look up. His jaw was tight, his free hand clenched into a fist against his thigh. He was angrier than she'd realized. He poured wine on you like you were nothing, Hyun-Woo bit out, like you were beneath him, and I wasn't there to stop it. You can't protect me from everything. I can try. His grip tightened. I will try. 20 minutes later, Sandra emerged from her bedroom in comfortable jeans and a sweater, the smell of expensive champagne finally scrubbed away. Hyun-Woo stood by her window, speaking rapid Korean into his phone. She caught enough words to understand he was getting updates about the Whitmore situation, his tone cold and precise. He hung up when he noticed her, slipping the phone away. Ready? He asked. Are you going to tell me where we're going? No. He grinned, that rare smile that made him look younger, less dangerous. But you'll like it. They drove for almost an hour, leaving Atlanta's glittering downtown for quieter suburbs than rural roads. Sandra watched the scenery change, felt her shoulders gradually relax as the night stretched out. I'm sorry, she said suddenly, for keeping my job separate from us. I know that frustrated you. Hyun-Woo glanced at her. You wanted to succeed on your own merit. I understand that. But Sandra, you don't have to handle disrespect alone. You never have to handle that alone. I know, she touched his arm. Thank you. For coming. For everything. He caught her hand again, that gesture that always made her feel anchored. Always. The car pulled up to a converted barn, warm light glowing from inside. Hyun-Woo helped her out, looking almost nervous. Inside, string lights hung from the ceiling, casting everything in soft gold. A few tables scattered around, each with fresh flowers. On a small stage at the far end, instruments waited. What is this? Sandra asked. Tonight it's ours. I rented it. He guided her to a table near the front. There's food coming, but first, he walked to the stage, picking up an acoustic guitar. Sandra's heart started beating faster. I'm not very good, he said, vulnerability creeping into his voice. But I've been practicing. For you. He started playing, and the melody was soft and sweet. Traditional, but with modern touches. Then he sang in Korean, his voice low and slightly rough, but so sincere it made her eyes sting. She didn't understand all the words, but she didn't need to. She could hear what he was saying in every note, in the way he looked at her while he sang. When he finished, the silence felt sacred. That was beautiful, Sandra whispered. What was it about? Finding home in unexpected places. He set the guitar down, coming back to her. Finding someone who makes everything make sense. If you're enjoying Sandra and Hyun-Woo's story so far, I need you to do something for me right now. Drop a comment telling me if you think Sandra should stay with Hyun-Woo after what she's about to discover. Or if she should run while she still can. Comment stay or run. I'm reading every single one, and trust me, what's coming next will test your answer. Now back to the story. Mrs. Chen appeared from the kitchen, smiling warmly. Mr. Park, the food will be ready shortly. Should I bring it out now, or would you like a few more minutes? We'll take a moment first. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. When they were alone, Hyun-Woo took both Sandra's hands. I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it. Her stomach tightened. What? My family is coming to visit next month. My mother specifically. She wants to meet you properly. That's good, isn't it? My mother is complicated. He looked genuinely worried. She has very specific ideas about who I should marry, and she's not afraid to express those opinions. She doesn't approve of me. She doesn't know you, not really. And once she does, she'll understand why I love you. His voice turned firm. Why I'm not changing my mind about marrying you, no matter what she says. The determination in his voice should have been reassuring, but it just made Sandra more nervous. What if she never approves? Then she'll have to accept it anyway. He pulled her closer, his forehead touching hers gently. You're my choice, Sandra, my only choice. Remember that, okay? No matter what happens. The food was incredible, exactly what she needed. They ate slowly, talking about nothing important, about a movie they wanted to see, and a trip they'd been planning. For a few hours, Sandra let herself forget about humiliation and disapproving mothers and everything waiting outside this perfect bubble. I'm scared, she admitted during dessert, about meeting your mother, about all of it. Then they're wrong, he said flatly. Sandra, my world isn't always good. It's not always safe or kind, but you make it better just by being in it. That's not... It's true, he squeezed her hand. Before you, I was just going through motions, building business, making deals, following the path my family set. Then, I met this brilliant woman who challenged me, who saw through all my walls and decided I was worth knowing anyway. You make it sound so romantic. I remember arguing with you for 20 minutes about management structures. Best 20 minutes of my life. He grinned. I knew right then I was in trouble. Because I disagreed with you? Because you were right and you weren't afraid to tell me so. His expression turned serious. That's what I need. Someone who sees me as a person, not just a name or position. Someone who'll be real with me. I'm always real with you. I know. He stood, coming around the table. Dance with me. There's no music. Soft music started playing from hidden speakers. Sandra laughed, letting him pull her to her feet. They danced in that converted barn with string lights overhead, and Sandra let herself forget everything, waiting outside this moment. 3 weeks later, Sandra stood in her bathroom staring at her reflection, trying to calm her racing heart. Tonight was dinner with Hyun-Woo's mother. She'd changed outfits 4 times, finally settling on a deep blue dress that was elegant without trying too hard. Her phone buzzed. Hyun-Woo, on my way, you're going to be amazing. But when he picked her up, the tension in his shoulders told a different story. Ready? He asked. No, but let's go anyway. The restaurant was upscale Korean in Buckhead, all dark wood and private rooms. His mother was already seated when they arrived, looking exactly like Hyun-Woo would in 30 years wearing a dress. Same sharp cheekbones, same intelligent eyes, same aura of complete control. Next to her sat a stunning woman in a pale pink suit, her hair perfectly styled. Hyun-Woo ya, his mother said in Korean, standing. Her eyes flickered to Sandra with something that might have been disappointment. You're late. By 3 minutes, Iyama. Hyun-Woo's voice was respectful but firm. Mother, this is Sandra Motsepe, my fiancé. Sandra, my mother, Park Seo-yeon, and Hae-jin. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Park, Sandra said in Korean, bowing properly. Thank you for traveling so far. Seo-yeon's eyebrows rose. You speak Korean. Some. I'm still learning. How nice. The tone suggested it was anything but. She gestured to the table. Sit. Hae-jin was telling me about her position at Samsung's New York office. Sandra sat next to Hyun-Woo. Under the table, he found her hand and squeezed. Congratulations, Sandra said politely to Hae-jin. Thank you. I'm sure my job isn't as interesting as yours, though. Hyun-Woo mentioned you work in his company now? In international development. I started last week. How convenient, Seo-yeon said coolly, that his company had an opening just when you needed one. Actually, Hyun-Woo cut in, his voice sharp. The position had been open for 2 months. Sandra was recommended by the department head after she applied through normal channels. Of course, Seo-yeon's smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm sure she's very qualified. The waiter arrived, giving Sandra a moment to breathe. This was worse than she'd imagined. So, Sandra, Hyejin said once the waiter left, you're from Lesotho? I don't know much about it. It's a small kingdom in southern Africa, completely surrounded by South Africa. Beautiful mountains, rich culture. A kingdom? Seo-yeon looked interested. So you have royalty? Yes, though it's constitutional monarchy now. I'm not royalty. My father is a teacher. My mother runs a small business. How quaint, Seo-yeon said, dismissal dripping from her tone. Hyun-Woo's hand tightened on Sandra's. Sandra's mother built her business from nothing. She employs over 30 people now. I'm sure it is, dear. Seo-yeon turned to Hyejin. Hyejin's father just expanded his company to 3 more countries. Mother. Hyun-Woo's voice held warning. The meal continued in that pattern, Seo-yeon finding subtle ways to dismiss everything Sandra said while praising Hyejin. To her credit, Hyejin looked increasingly uncomfortable. You know, Hyejin said during dessert, I should mention I'm actually seeing someone. Back in New York, it's getting serious. Seo-yeon's expression froze. You didn't mention this. I wasn't sure how to bring it up. I think there was misunderstanding about why I'm here. I'm not interested in getting back together with Hyun-Woo. That's wonderful, Sandra said warmly. What does he do? He's a chef. Opened his own restaurant in Brooklyn last year. Seo-yeon looked like she'd bitten something sour. Well, I suppose I misunderstood. You absolutely did, Hyun-Woo said, steel in his voice now. Mother, I need you to hear something clearly. I love Sandra. I'm going to marry Sandra, and while I respect you, I don't need your blessing. Do you understand? Hyun-Woo, no. He stood, pulling Sandra with him. I've listened to your comments all night. I've watched you try to make the woman I love feel small. And I'm done. Sandra is brilliant and accomplished and strong and everything I want. If you can't see that, we're leaving. Sit down, Seo-yeon hissed. You're making a scene. I don't care. His hand was steady in Sandra's. Sandra, do you want to stay? She looked at Seo-yeon's furious face, at Hyun-Woo's fierce protection. No, I don't. They walked out together, leaving Seo-yeon speechless. In the car, Hyun-Woo leaned against the door, running both hands through his hair. I'm so sorry. I knew she'd be difficult, but that was... Your mother really doesn't approve of me. Sandra tried to keep her voice steady. She brought your ex-girlfriend, Hyun-Woo. I know, and I meant what I said. Her approval doesn't change anything. But it matters to you. Family matters. Then we'll deal with it. He pulled her close. I've spent my life following my family's expectations. But this? You? This is my choice. The first really important choice I've made entirely for myself. They went to his apartment, a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta's skyline. Books scattered on the coffee table, blanket draped over the couch, photos on shelves. Sandra picked up a frame showing them at a fundraiser, both laughing. That's my favorite picture of us, Hyun-Woo said, wrapping his arms around her waist. You just told that donor exactly why his approach was counterproductive. Someone needed to. That's what I love about you. You don't back down. He turned her to face him. Even when it's uncomfortable. Except, tonight I wanted to back down. When your mother kept making me feel small, you're not causing problems. My mother is. He cupped her face. Tomorrow, I'm having a clear conversation with her about respect. That'll make things worse. Maybe, but she needs to understand this isn't negotiable. Sandra kissed him then, soft and grateful. He responded immediately, one hand sliding into her hair, the other pulling her closer. When they pulled apart, he pressed his lips to her temple. Stay tonight? I don't want to be alone. Okay, she changed into his t-shirt and pajama pants, then found him in the kitchen making tea. The domestic simplicity made her chest ache. Your mother called, he said. 6 times. I'm not answering. They took their tea to the couch, curling up under the blanket. Outside, Atlanta glittered. "Tell me something good," Hyun-Woo said. "My sister's getting married next year. She wants us to come to Lesotho for the wedding." "I'd love that." He brightened. "Traditional ceremony?" "Partially, blending Basotho traditions with modern elements. Traditional dress, music, lots of dancing, so much food." "What kind?" "Papa, it's like stiff porridge from cornmeal, moroho, cooked greens, seswa, shredded beef slow cooked until it's incredibly tender. My aunt makes the best. She guards her recipe like a state secret. You'll have to teach me everything. The customs, proper greetings, what's respectful." "You're always respectful. Maybe too respectful sometimes." "There's no such thing," says the man who just walked out on his mother. He laughed, real and full. "Fair point, but that was different. That was protecting you." They talked for hours, the conversation flowing easily. Eventually, Sandra started yawning, and Hyun-Woo carried her to his bedroom despite her protests. "Humor me," he said, setting her down gently. "I need to take care of you." She pulled him down next to her. "What happens tomorrow?" "Tomorrow I tell my mother she has two choices. Accept you and be part of our life, or continue being difficult and see a lot less of me." His arms tightened. "Family is important, but you're more important. I don't want to be the reason you lose your family. You won't be. My mother will be if it comes to that." He kissed her forehead. "Now sleep." But sleep didn't come easily. Sandra lay there listening to Hyun-Woo's breathing slow, feeling safe but anxious. His mother saw her as unsuitable, as someone who didn't belong. And maybe she had a point. Sandra came from a simple background, from a small country most people couldn't locate on a map. She didn't have family connections or business empire or anything that screamed suitable match. What she had was her education, her work ethic, her love for Hyun-Woo, and sometimes that felt like it might not be enough. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Hyun-Woo was already dressed, setting a breakfast tray on the bedside table. "Morning, I picked up your favorite from downtown." The tray held fresh fruit, yogurt with granola, and a perfect spinach and feta omelet. "You're trying to butter me up before dealing with your mother." "Absolutely. Is it working?" "Maybe. What time is the conversation?" "Noon, at her hotel." He sat on the bed's edge. "I want you to come with me." "Hyun-Woo, that'll just make her angrier." "I need her to see us together. To understand this isn't just me being stubborn, this is us, as a partnership." "Okay, but let me do some of the talking. You can't fight all my battles." "I can try, and I love that. But I need to show your mother I'm strong enough for this life." He looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. "Together then." They ate mostly in silence, both preparing mentally. Sandra chose tailored black pants and a cream silk blouse, leaving her hair natural in its curls. A small act of defiance. Seo-yeon's hotel suite was predictably luxurious. She answered the door looking impeccable in a designer suit, her expression giving nothing away. "Hyun-Woo and Sandra, how unexpected." "We're a package deal now, mother," Hyun-Woo said, his hand steady on Sandra's lower back. "The sooner you understand that, the better." Seo-yeon stepped aside. The living room was immaculate. She gestured to a couch. "Sit. I'll have tea brought up." "We don't need tea," Hyun-Woo said. "We need to talk without games or manipulation." "I have no idea what you're talking about." Seo-yeon settled into an armchair like a queen. "I've been perfectly polite. You brought my ex-girlfriend to meet my fiancé. You spent an entire dinner dismissing everything Sandra said. That's not polite, that's hostile. I'm concerned for your future. This woman doesn't understand our culture, our expectations." "Mrs. Park," Sandra cut in, keeping her voice calm. "May I say something?" Seo-yeon looked surprised but nodded. "You're right that I don't fully understand Korean culture yet. I'm learning, but I'll make mistakes. And you're right that marrying Hyun-Woo means entering a very different world. She leaned forward. But I love your son. I respect him. I challenge him when he needs it. I support him when he's struggling. And I make him happy. Isn't that what matters most? Love isn't enough. Marriage is about family, about legacy. Then let's talk about family. Sandra felt something steady settle in her chest. I come from a family that values hard work, education, dignity. My father taught me to stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult. My mother showed me how to build something meaningful with your own hands. Those are the values I'll bring to this marriage, to any children we might have. And what about our family's business, the connections, the responsibilities? I understand enough to know he needs a partner who sees him as a person first, not just a name or position. He needs someone who'll remind him to take care of himself when he works too hard, who'll challenge his ideas when he's wrong. Seo-yeon was silent for a long moment. You have no idea what you're getting into. The pressure, the scrutiny. Then help me understand. Teach me, guide me, but don't shut me out before giving me a real chance. Mother, Hyun-Woo said softly, I know you want what's best for me, but Sandra is what's best for me. I've never been happier. Isn't that worth something? Seo-yeon looked at her son, really looked at him, and something shifted. You really love her. More than anything, and I need you to try, Mother. Really try to get to know her. Can you do that? Another long silence. Then Seo-yeon sighed, suddenly looking older. I suppose I could stay a few more days. Get to know Sandra properly. That's all we're asking, Sandra said. Don't thank me yet. I'm not an easy woman to impress. Lucky for you, Hyun-Woo said, squeezing Sandra's hand. She's not easy to intimidate either. The next 4 days were exhausting. Seo-yeon took getting to know her seriously, which meant testing every aspect of Sandra's character. They had tea at traditional restaurants where Seo-yeon explained customs and watched to see if Sandra would remember. They visited galleries where Seo-yeon asked pointed questions about art and cultural preservation. But slowly, something began to shift. You actually listen, Seo-yeon said on the third day after Sandra asked a detailed follow-up question about traditional pottery. Most young people just nod. I am interested, and I want to understand what's important to your family. Seo-yeon studied her. Tell me about Lesotho's traditions. So Sandra told her about Basotho blankets and their significance, about initiation ceremonies, about communal responsibility and respect for elders. Seo-yeon listened without interrupting. We're not so different, perhaps, she finally said. Different cultures, but similar values underneath. The breakthrough came on the 4th day at a cooking class. Working side by side, measuring and chopping, something relaxed between them. You're quite good at this, Seo-yeon commented as Sandra rolled bulgogi and lettuce leaves. My mother taught me. She always said food is love made visible. That's beautiful. Your mother sounds wise. She is. You'd like her, I think. She's stubborn and protective and has very definite ideas about how things should be done. Seo-yeon's lips twitched. Are you implying something? Just that protective mothers who want the best for their children have something in common, regardless of where they're from. After a moment, Seo-yeon laughed, genuine and real. I see why my son chose you. You don't back down easily. Neither do you, must run in the family. Later that evening, Seo-yeon asked to speak with Hyun-Woo privately. They disappeared into her suite for over an hour while Sandra waited in the lobby, trying not to panic. When they emerged, both looked emotionally wrung out but lighter. Everything okay? Sandra asked. More than okay, Hyun-Woo confirmed, pulling her close. Seo-yeon approached, looking genuinely uncertain for the first time. Sandra, I owe you an apology. I judged you without knowing you, tried to push you away because you weren't what I'd imagined. That was unfair. Mrs. Park, please let me finish. Hyun-Woo has explained some things about his life, about the pressure I've put on him, about how you've helped him find balance. And I've seen this week how you challenge him, support him, stand up to him when needed. Those are qualities I should have valued from the start. Sandra felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you. That means more than you know. I'm not saying I won't have concerns sometimes, but I'm saying I'll try. To see you as you are, not as I feared you'd be. Sandra stepped forward and hugged the older woman. After a moment's hesitation, Seo-yeon hugged back. Take care of my son, Seo-yeon murmured, and let him take care of you. The next 2 months flew by in wedding planning and work and slowly building a relationship with Hyun-Woo's family. Seo-yeon returned to Korea but called weekly, sometimes for advice, sometimes just to chat. She even started learning about Basotho wedding traditions. Then everything changed. Sandra was working late at her office in Hyun-Woo's company when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Sandra Motsepi? A man's voice, unfamiliar. Yes. Who is this? Daniel Whitmore, Richard's younger brother. We need to talk. She tensed. I have nothing to say to anyone in your family. It's about Richard. He's not handling the situation well. The humiliation, losing his position, his divorce. He blames you and your fiancé. Whatever consequences he faced were his own doing. I know that. You know that. But Richard's been making threats. Nothing specific, just angry talk about payback. My family's been trying to handle it quietly, but I thought you should know. Ice settled in Sandra's stomach. Define threats. Like I said, nothing concrete, but he's been following your social media, asking questions about your routine, where you live. I'm probably overreacting, but better safe than sorry. Does Hyan-Woo know? I tried to reach him, but his assistant said he's in Seoul for business this week. Look, Richard's mostly talk. He's never been violent. But maybe be aware of your surroundings. Tell security to be extra careful. After Daniel hung up, Sandra sat at her desk, hands shaking. She tried calling Hyun-Woo but got voicemail. She left a message, trying to sound calm. Walking to her car that night, she felt eyes on her. Twice she turned around, seeing nothing, but the feeling persisted. When she reached her car, she locked the doors immediately and sat there, breathing hard. Her phone rang. Hyun-Woo. Hey, how's Seoul? What's wrong? Your message sounded off. She told him everything. By the time she finished, Hyun-Woo's voice had gone flat and dangerous. I'm coming home. Right now. No, you have important meetings. You're more important. I'm sending my security team to your apartment tonight, and I'll be there as soon as possible. Hyun-Woo, please don't argue. I'm 10,000 miles away and you're potentially in danger. Let me do something. Okay. His security team arrived within an hour. 4 serious men in dark suits who checked every room and window before 2 stationed themselves outside her door and 2 in the building's lobby. Sandra tried to sleep but kept jolting awake. Hyun-Woo called at 3 in the morning. I'm at Incheon Airport. Flight board's in an hour. How are you? Scared. I keep telling myself I'm overreacting. But you don't feel safe, and that's what matters. We'll figure this out. Restraining order, additional security, whatever it takes. I don't want to live like I'm being hunted. You won't be, I promise. Try to sleep, Jagya. I'll be there soon. The next day passed in a haze. Sandra went to work with 2 of Hyun-Woo's security team, following at a discreet distance. Her colleagues noticed, but didn't comment. Then Hyun-Woo called, his voice different, excited. Don't go home tonight, come to my place. I have a surprise. What kind? The good kind, trust me. When she arrived at his building, Hyun-Woo waited in the lobby despite having just flown 14 hours. He looked tired, but his smile was genuine. You're here, she breathed, launching herself at him. Always, but that's not the surprise. Come on. He led her to the elevator, pressing the penthouse floor button. Hyun-Woo, we don't have access. The doors opened into a massive penthouse she'd never seen. Beautiful, all windows and open space and warm lighting. But what caught her attention were the people inside. Her sister Lerato stood near the windows, grinning. Beside her was Seo-yeon, looking pleased. And on the couch sat her parents. What? I bought the penthouse last month. Was saving it as a surprise. But when everything happened with Richard, I realized I wanted you. Somewhere safer. Somewhere with better security. He gestured around. Somewhere that could be ours. Not mine or yours, but ours together. And I thought you needed your family. If you want to move in now instead of after the wedding, no pressure, but... Sandra kissed him, not caring their families were watching. When they broke apart, she touched her forehead to his gently. Yes. To all of it. Yes. The next weeks were chaotic, but good. Between family being in town and wedding planning and settling into the penthouse, there was barely time to worry about Richard. The restraining order went through, and Hyun-Woo's lawyers made it clear any harassment would be dealt with severely. He backed down, Daniel reported. Completely. Apparently, some of your business associates had words with him. My associates can be very persuasive, Hyun-Woo said carefully. Sandra decided not to ask for details. But 2 weeks before the wedding, Sandra came home to the penthouse to find Hyun-Woo, standing at the windows, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean in a tone she'd never heard before. Cold, commanding, threatening. He hung up when he noticed her, but not before she heard him say something that sounded like, "Make sure he understands the consequences." "Everything okay?" she asked. "Fine, just business." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "How was your day?" "Good. Lerato wants to go dress shopping tomorrow." She set down her bag. "Hyun-Woo, what kind of business?" "Nothing for you to worry about." "Don't do that. Don't shut me out." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "There's a situation with one of our partners. They're not honoring their agreement. I'm handling it." "How are you handling it?" "Sandra, I'm going to be your wife. I need to know what your world actually looks like, not the sanitized version you show me." He looked at her for a long moment, something warring in his expression. "You want the truth?" "Always." The partner tried to undercut us on a major deal, violated terms we'd agreed on. In my world, that kind of betrayal has consequences. "What kind of consequences?" "The kind that make sure it doesn't happen again." His voice was flat, and that others think very carefully before trying the same thing. "You're being vague, because the specifics would upset you." "Try me." Hyun-Woo's jaw tightened. "Fine, we're freezing them out of all major contracts in the region. Their suppliers have been encouraged to find other clients. Their financing is being pulled. Within 6 months, they'll be bankrupt unless they come back to the table on our terms. You're destroying their entire business. They violated our agreement. In my world, your word is everything. Break it, and there are consequences." That seems extreme for a business disagreement. "It's not a disagreement, it's betrayal." His eyes were hard now. "And I can't afford to look weak the moment I let someone get away. With violating our terms, everyone else thinks they can do the same. Then, the whole structure collapses." Sandra felt something cold settle in her chest. This was a side of Hyun-Woo she'd suspected existed, but never seen directly. Ruthless, calculating, unforgiving. "Does it bother you?" he asked quietly. "Knowing I can be like this?" "I don't know yet," she said honestly. "I'm trying to understand it. This is who I am, Sandra. The protection, the resources, the life I can give you. It all comes from this. From being willing to do what's necessary to maintain power and respect. Even if it destroys people? Even then." He didn't look away. "I won't apologize for it. This is the world I was born into, the world I've built. And it's the world you're choosing to enter." They stood there in the growing darkness, the city lights spreading out below them, and Sandra felt the weight of that choice pressing down. "I need some time," she said softly, "to think about this." "Take all the time you need." His voice was gentle now. "But Sandra, Understand this won't be the last time you see this side of me. If you can't accept it, if you can't live with it, we need to figure that out now." She went to bed alone that night, her mind spinning. She loved Hyun-Woo, but could she live in a world where business disagreements meant destroying livelihoods? Where power was maintained through fear and calculated ruthlessness? Her phone buzzed at 2 in the morning. A text from an unknown number. "You're making a mistake. He's not who you think he is. The Park family has blood on their hands. Ask him about the warehouse fire in 2019. Sandra's heart started racing. She deleted the text but couldn't delete the question it raised. The next morning, she found Hyun-Woo in the kitchen, making coffee, looking like he hadn't slept either. "We need to talk," they said simultaneously. "You first," Hyun-Woo said. "I got a text last night, anonymous. It mentioned a warehouse. Fire in 2019. Said your family has blood on their hands." All the color drained from Hyun-Woo's face. He set down his coffee cup carefully. "What exactly did it say?" She showed him the deleted message in her trash. He read it, his expression going absolutely cold. "Richard," he said flatly, "this is Richard trying to scare you." "Is it true? The warehouse fire?" Hyun-Woo closed his eyes. "There was a fire in 2019, at a warehouse owned by a rival family. 3 people died." Sandra's stomach dropped. "Did you—" "No, I didn't set it, but—" He opened his eyes and the pain in them was real. "I knew it was going to happen. Someone in my organization told me they were planning it. And I didn't stop it. You let 3 people die." "They weren't innocent people, Sandra. They were part of an organization that had killed 2 of our people the month before. It was retaliation. That doesn't make it okay." "I know," his voice broke. "I know it doesn't. I've carried that for 4 years. The knowledge that I could have prevented those deaths and chose not to, that I prioritized our organization's strength over those lives." Sandra felt like the floor was dropping out from under her. "How am I supposed to marry someone who makes choices like that?" "You're not. You shouldn't." Hyun-Woo's voice was hollow. "This is what I was afraid of. You seeing the real me, the monster underneath, and realizing you can't live with it." "Don't put this on me. You made those choices." "I did, and I'll make them again if I have to protect my family, my organization, the people who depend on me. That's the reality of my world, Sandra. It's ugly and violent, and sometimes innocent people get caught in the crossfire." We're at the halfway point of Sandra and Hyun-Woo's story, and things just got dark. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button because what happens next is going to blow your mind. And drop a comment telling me if Sandra should walk away now or if there's something that could make this right. Keep watching. "I need to go," Sandra said, grabbing her bag. "I need to think." "Where are you going?" "My old apartment. I kept the lease just in case." "In case of what? In case you decided I was too much of a monster to marry?" "In case I needed space, like right now." She walked out, and Hyun-Woo didn't try to stop her. For 3 days, Sandra stayed at her old apartment, ignoring calls from Hyun-Woo, from her family, from Seo-yeon. She just sat and thought about warehouse fires and destroyed businesses, and the man she loved who was capable of terrible things. On the morning of the 4th day, Lerato showed up at her door. "We need to talk," her sister said, pushing past her. "And before you tell me to leave, Mom and Dad sent me, so you're stuck with me." "I don't want to talk about it." "Too bad. You're getting married in 10 days and you're hiding in your old apartment." "Talk." "He let people die, Lerato. He knew about it and didn't stop it." "I know, he told us." Sandra's head snapped up. "What?" "Hyun-Woo came to the penthouse after you left. Told everyone everything about the warehouse, about the business he's really in, about the choices he's made. He didn't sugarcoat any of it." "What did Mom and Dad say?" "Dad asked a lot of questions. About whether Hyun-Woo regrets it, about whether he'd make the same choice now, about what kind of man he wants to be going forward." Lerato sat down next to her. "And you know what Hyun-Woo said?" "What?" "That he regrets the deaths but not the protection of his people. That he'd make the same choice to prioritize his family's safety." But that meeting you has made him question whether there might be better ways to handle conflicts. That's not enough. Maybe not. But Sandra, you need to ask yourself something. Can you accept that the man you love is capable of terrible things? That he operates in a world with different rules, and sometimes those rules mean people get hurt? I don't know if I can. Then don't marry him. Walk away. Find someone safe and simple and boring who works a 9 to 5 and whose biggest moral dilemma is whether to take credit for someone else's idea in a meeting. Lerato took her hand. But if you walk away, be honest about why. Is it because you truly can't accept his world? Or is it because you're scared? Scared of what? Of how much you love him. Of how much you're willing to accept for that love. Of realizing you might be capable of understanding choices you never thought you'd condone. Sandra sat with that for a long time after Lerato left. That night, she went back to the penthouse. Hyun-Woo was standing at the windows again, and he looked terrible, like he hadn't slept or eaten in days. Sandra, he said, turning. Relief and fear warred in his expression. I'm not saying I'm okay with what you did, she said carefully. I'm not saying I understand it or accept it fully, but I'm saying I want to try to understand your world better, to see if there's a way we can build a life together that doesn't require me to abandon my values or you to abandon yours. I don't deserve that chance. Probably not. But I'm giving it to you anyway. She crossed the room to him. On one condition. Anything. No more secrets. If you're making a choice that involves violence or destruction or people getting hurt, I need to know. I need to be able to make informed decisions about what I can and can't live with. Even if knowing makes you leave? Even then. He pulled her close, and she felt him shaking. I'll tell you everything, no matter how ugly. And I need to meet them, the people in your organization. I need to understand what you're actually protecting. Sandra, some of those people are dangerous. I know, and if I'm going to be part of your life, I need to understand who they are and what they mean to you. He pulled back to look at her. You're sure about this? No, but I'm willing to try. 2 days later, Sandra found herself in a private room at an upscale restaurant, surrounded by men who looked like they'd stepped out of a crime thriller. Hyun-Woo's inner circle, his closest advisors and enforcers. Gentlemen, Hyun-Woo said in Korean, then switched to English. This is Sandra, my fiancé. She's asked to meet you to understand our organization better. I expect you to answer her questions honestly. The man at Hyun-Woo's right, introduced as Kim Min-jun, studied Sandra with sharp eyes. You want to know what we do? I want to understand what Hyun-Woo protects, who you are, why this matters. Min-jun glanced at Hyun-Woo, who nodded. We're family, Min-jun said simply. Some by blood, most by choice. We protect each other, our businesses, our territories. The world Hyun-Woo's grandfather built, that his father expanded, that Hyun-Woo now leads. By any means necessary? By necessary means, a sharp-featured man named Park Ji-hoon said. There's a difference. Explain it to me. For the next 2 hours, they talked. About territories and agreements, about rival families and ancient feuds, about the codes that govern their world. Loyalty above all, betrayal punished by death, family protected at any cost. You think we're criminals, Min-jun said finally. Maybe we are by some definitions, but we're also fathers and brothers and sons. We're people trying to survive in a world that would destroy us if we showed weakness. And the warehouse fire? Sandra asked quietly. The room went silent. Hyun-Woo's jaw tightened. That was war, Min-jun said softly. The other family had killed our people, killed them brutally, left their bodies as messages. We had to respond or everyone would think we were weak, that we could be attacked with impunity. So 3 more people died? 3 people who were part of the organization that killed our people first, Ji-hoon said. We didn't start that war, but we finished it. Does it ever end? Sandra asked. The retaliation, the violence, the cycle? Sometimes, Hyun-Woo said, when both sides are too exhausted to continue, or when leaders emerge who are willing to negotiate real peace. Are you one of those leaders? I'm trying to be. He looked at her directly. Meeting you has made me want to find better ways, to build something that doesn't require constant bloodshed to maintain. That's a nice sentiment, Minjun said. But the other families won't suddenly become peaceful because you want them to. I know, but maybe we can start small, build alliances instead of destroying rivals, find common ground where it exists. And when it doesn't exist, Sandra pressed. Hyun-Woo's expression hardened. Then I do what's necessary to protect my family. Always. Sandra left that meeting with more questions than answers, but also with something she hadn't expected. Understanding, not acceptance, not approval, but understanding of the world Hyun-Woo inhabited and the impossible choices it demanded. Over the next week, as the wedding approached, she asked more questions about specific businesses, about how decisions were made, about the line between legitimate enterprise and criminal activity. It's blurrier than you'd think, Hyun-Woo admitted one night. Some of what we do is completely legal, real estate, imports, investments, but some of it exists in gray areas, and some of it is illegal by any definition. Like what? Protection money from businesses in our territory, control of certain supply chains through intimidation, deals with politicians and officials that involve bribes and favors. You're describing organized crime. I'm describing reality. This is what my family built, what I inherited. I can try to shift it toward more legitimate operations, and I am. But I can't transform it overnight without making enemies of everyone around me. So you're trapped, in some ways, but Sandra, I chose this. I could have walked away, built something else. I stayed because this is my family. These people depend on me. And what happens when your two worlds collide? When your legitimate business and your criminal enterprise create conflicts? I handle it. Carefully. Make sure nothing bleeds over where it shouldn't. Like with Richard, you destroyed his career using legitimate business leverage. But I'm guessing you also made sure he understood there would be other consequences if he didn't back down. Hyun-Woo didn't deny it. He needed to understand that attacking you came with a price, and that price wasn't just financial or professional. You threatened him. I protected you. There's a difference. Is there? He looked at her steadily. To me, yes. You're the line I won't let anyone cross. Richard humiliated you publicly. That required response. And the warehouse fire? Was that protecting family too? Yes. I know you hate that answer, but yes. Those people had killed ours. We had to respond or invite more attacks. Sandra sat with that, trying to reconcile the gentle man who sang to her with the ruthless leader who let people die for strategic reasons. I don't know if I can fully accept this, she said finally. Your world, these choices, but I'm not walking away. Not yet. What changed? Why are you willing to try? Because I saw your people. I saw their loyalty, their respect for you, their belief that you're trying to build something better. And I heard you talking about wanting to change, to find less violent ways. She took his hand. I believe you want to be better. I just don't know if your world will let you. Then help me, he said softly. Be the person who reminds me there are other ways, who challenges me when I'm making choices out of habit instead of necessity. Be my conscience. That's a lot of responsibility. I know, and it's not fair to put it on you. But you asked to see the real me, the real world I live in. This is it. Ugly and complicated and morally gray. And I'm asking if you can still love me despite it. Or maybe because of it. I don't love you because of your darkness, Hyun-Woo. I love you despite it, but I'm choosing to believe that darkness doesn't define you completely. He kissed her then, desperate and grateful, and she let herself fall into it. Into him. Into the choice she was making. The wedding was 3 days away when everything went to hell. Sandra was at the venue checking final details when Hyun-Woo called, his voice tight with controlled fury. "Where are you?" "The venue. Why?" "Stay there. I'm sending security. Don't leave until they arrive." "What's happening?" "Richard made a move, bigger than we thought he would." 20 minutes later, 4 of Hyun-Woo's security team surrounded her, moving her quickly to an armored car. Min-jun was waiting inside, his expression grim. "What's going on?" Sandra demanded. "Richard made contact with the Lee family." "They're a rival organization, been looking for weakness in our position for years. He told them about you, about the wedding, about how you're Hyun-Woo's vulnerable point." Sandra's blood ran cold. "What are they planning?" "We don't know yet, but they've been moving assets, calling in favors. Something's coming." They took her to a secured location, a house in the suburbs that looked normal from outside but was clearly fortified. Hyun-Woo was already there, pacing, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. He hung up when he saw her, pulling her into his arms. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have seen this coming." "What are they going to do?" "Best case, they try to use you as leverage against me. Force me to give up territory or business. Worst case..." He didn't finish. "Worst case, they kill me to hurt you." "That's not going to happen." His voice was steel. "I've called in every favor, activated every alliance. We're going to war if we have to." "Over me? Over you? Over them, thinking they can threaten what's mine? Over them, believing I'll negotiate from weakness?" Min-jun entered the room. "We've got confirmation. They're planning to hit the wedding, grab Sandra during the ceremony, use her to force concessions." "Then we cancel the wedding," Sandra said immediately. "No," Hyun-Woo said. "We don't give them that power. We don't let them dictate our lives." "Hyun-Woo, I'm not risking people's lives for a wedding." "It's not about the wedding. It's about showing them they can't control us through fear." He turned to Min-jun. "How many people can we have in place?" "At the venue? 20, maybe 25 without being obvious." "But Hyun-Woo, that's not enough if they come in force." "Then we call in reinforcements, everyone who owes us, everyone we have alliances with. This is where we make our stand." "You're insane," Sandra said. "You're going to turn our wedding into a battlefield?" "I'm going to show them that attacking my family comes with consequences they can't imagine." He cupped her face. "Sandra, I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" She looked at him, at the fierce protectiveness in his eyes, at the man who was willing to start a war to keep her safe. "What do you need me to do?" "Be brave. Walk down that aisle like nothing's wrong. Let them see that we're not afraid." The next 2 days were surreal. Wedding preparations continued while armed men positioned themselves around the venue. Guests were vetted, routes were secured, and contingency plans were made for every possible scenario. Sandra's family, blissfully unaware of the threat, focused on traditional preparations. Her mother fussed over the basotho dress. Her father practiced his speech. Lerato managed logistics. Seo-yeon, however, knew exactly what was happening. "You should postpone," she told Hyun-Woo the night before. "This is too dangerous." "We postpone, we show weakness. The Lee family will just try again. Hit us when we're not prepared. And if something goes wrong tomorrow..." "It won't." His voice was absolute certainty. "I won't let it." Seo-yeon turned to Sandra. "You understand what marrying him means now? This will be your life. Threats and violence and constant vigilance." "I understand," Sandra said quietly. "And I'm choosing it anyway." "Then you're either very brave or very foolish." Seo-yeon studied her. "I hope it's brave." That night, Sandra couldn't sleep. She lay next to Hyun-Woo, listening to his breathing, wondering if tomorrow would end in celebration or tragedy. "You're awake," Hyun-Woo murmured. "Can't sleep." "Scared?" "Terrified. You?" "Absolutely." He pulled her closer. "But I meant what I said. I won't let anything happen to you." "What if you can't stop it? What if they're stronger or faster or just lucky?" then I die protecting you, but you walk out of there alive. That's not comforting. It's the truth. Sandra, if something goes wrong tomorrow, Min-jun has instructions. He'll get you out, get your family to safety. Promise me you'll listen to him. Hyun-Woo, promise me. I promise. But you promise me something too. Anything. That you'll try to end this without more killing. That if there's a way to resolve it that doesn't add to the body count, you'll take it. He was silent for a long moment. I promise I'll try. But if it comes down to their lives or yours, I'm choosing yours. Every time. I know, and that's what scares me most. How easily you can make that choice. Because you matter more than anything. More than business, more than territory, more than codes or honor or anything else. You're the line I won't let anyone cross. The wedding day dawned bright and clear, perfect weather mocking the tension underneath. Sandra went through the motions of getting ready, her hands shaking as Lorado helped with her dress. You look beautiful, her sister said. Mom's going to cry when she sees you. Sandra forced a smile. I hope so. In a separate room, Hyun-Woo dressed in traditional Korean attire, his security team briefing him on positions and protocols. They're here, Min-jun said quietly. Lee family sent representatives, official guests, but we know they're scouts. Let them see everything, Hyun-Woo said. Let them see how prepared we are. Maybe they'll think twice. The ceremony was set to begin with traditional elements from both cultures. Sandra's father would walk her forward, completely unaware of the armed men positioned around the venue. Her mother beamed in the front row, Seo-yeon watched with approval, and Hyun-Woo stood waiting, looking like he was facing execution, rather than marriage. Then Sandra saw it, a flicker of movement at the back, men entering who didn't belong. Hyun-Woo saw it too. His expression didn't change, but his hand moved slightly, signaling his team. Everything happened at once. The Lee family's men moved toward the aisle. Hyun-Woo's security intercepted them. Guests screamed, confusion erupting as armed men suddenly appeared from everywhere. Min-jun grabbed Sandra, pulling her toward an exit. Move now! My family! Already being evacuated, move! They burst through a side door into chaos. More Lee family men outside, weapons drawn. Min-jun shoved Sandra behind him, returning fire with one hand while pulling her along with the other. The car! He shouted. They ran, bullets sparking off concrete around them. Sandra's dress tangled around her legs, slowing her down. She stumbled, and Min-jun caught her, half carrying her the last few feet. The car door opened and Hyun-Woo was there, pulling her inside. Blood stained his sleeve, but his expression was absolutely feral. Drive, he shouted. The car accelerated, more gunfire behind them. Sandra twisted to look back, seeing the venue in chaos, seeing people running. My family! Hyun-Woo, my family! They're safe. Different car, different route. They're safe. You're bleeding. It's nothing. Graze. He pulled her against him. You're okay. That's all that matters. This is insane. This whole thing is insane. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They drove for 30 minutes, switching cars twice, taking routes designed to lose any pursuit. Finally, they arrived at another secured location, this one a compound outside the city. Inside, Seo-yeon waited with Sandra's family, all looking shaken, but unharmed. Oh, thank God, Sandra's mother sobbed, pulling her into a hug. What happened? They said there was an attack. There was, Hyun-Woo said quietly. And I'm sorry. This is my fault, my world, my enemies. You shouldn't have been put in danger. Sandra's father stepped forward, and for a moment Sandra thought he might hit Hyun-Woo. Instead, he studied the younger man carefully. Did anyone die? He asked. No. Injuries on both sides, but no deaths. Good. Then we can still fix this without more blood. Her father turned to Sandra. Do you still want to marry him? After seeing this? Sandra looked at Hyun-Woo, at the blood on his sleeve and the fierce protectiveness in his eyes, and the man who'd started a war to keep her safe. "Yes," she said. "I do." "Then let's finish this wedding. But first," her father turned back to Hyun-Woo. "In Basotho culture, conflicts are resolved through dialogue and negotiation, not violence. If you're going to be part of our family, you need to try that way first." "Sir, these people attacked—" "I know what they did. I'm saying before you retaliate, try talking. Try finding a solution that doesn't require more bloodshed. Can you do that?" Hyun-Woo looked at Sandra, at her father, at the choice being offered. "I can try." The next day, Hyun-Woo called for a meeting with the Lee family. Neutral territory, strict protocols. Sandra insisted on being there. "This is dangerous," Min-jun protested. "Everything about this life is dangerous," Sandra said. "I'm going." The meeting room was tense, armed men on both sides, decades of hostility filling the space. The Lee family patriarch, an older man with cold eyes, studied Sandra with interest. "So, this is the woman worth starting a war over," he said in Korean. "This is my wife," Hyun-Woo corrected, his hand steady on Sandra's lower back. "And attacking her was a mistake you'll regret." "Will I? You started this by destroying Richard Whitmore. He came to us for help." "He came to you with a chance to attack me, and you took it because you've been looking for weakness for years." "Your choice of wife is weakness, a foreigner who doesn't understand our world, who makes you soft." Sandra stepped forward before Hyun-Woo could respond. "You're wrong," she said clearly in Korean. "I don't make him soft. I make him think before he acts. I make him consider whether violence is necessary or just habitual, and I'm about to make him do something he's never done before." "What's that?" "Offer you peace." She looked at Hyun-Woo. "Tell them." Hyun-Woo's jaw was tight, but he nodded. "The feud between our families has cost both of us. Resources, people, opportunities. What if we ended it? Not through surrender or submission, but through agreement. Divided territories clearly, established protocols for disputes, stopped the constant bloodshed." "Why would we agree to that when we could just destroy you?" "Because you can't," Min-jun said. "You tried yesterday and failed. We're stronger than you thought, but we're offering you something better than war. Stability, predictability, the chance to build instead of destroy." The Lee patriarch considered. "And if we refuse? Then we go to war," Hyun-Woo said flatly. "And one of our families ends, maybe both. Is that what you want?" The room was silent for a long moment. "I'll need to consult with my people," the patriarch finally said. "But I'm willing to hear terms." 2 weeks later, the actual wedding happened. Small, intimate, just family and closest friends. No venue, just the penthouse with its floor-to-ceiling windows and city lights. Sandra wore a simple white dress. Hyun-Woo wore a suit. Their families mixed together, Korean and Basotho traditions, blending into something new and beautiful. When they exchanged vows, Sandra spoke words she'd written herself. "I choose you knowing exactly who you are. Not despite your darkness, but with full awareness of it. And I promise to be the voice that challenges you, the conscience that questions you, and the love that believes you can be better." Hyun-Woo's vows were equally honest. "I promise to try, to find better ways, to choose dialogue before violence when possible, to build the world you believe I can create. And I promise that every choice I make, I'll remember you standing here, believing in me when maybe I don't deserve it." Seo-yeon cried. Sandra's mother cried. Even Min-jun looked suspiciously emotional. The Lee family had agreed to terms. The peace was fragile, tentative, but it was peace. Richard had been warned off permanently, last seen boarding a flight to somewhere far away after Hyun-Woo's people made it clear that any further contact would not end well for him. The warehouse fire still haunted Sandra's thoughts sometimes. The knowledge that the man she married was capable of letting people die for strategic reasons. But she'd also seen him choose differently. Choose to try her father's way first. Choose to build peace instead of perpetuate war. It wasn't perfect. He wasn't perfect. But he was trying. Months later, Sandra stood at those same floor-to-ceiling windows, her hand resting on her slightly rounded stomach, watching the city lights. Hyun-Woo came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Thinking?" he asked, "about how far we've come, about what we've survived. Any regrets?" "Honestly? A few. I regret the violence, the danger, the people who got hurt. But I don't regret you. I don't regret choosing this life. Even knowing what it costs? Even knowing, because you're trying, Hyun-Woo, you're actually trying to be better, to build something that doesn't require constant bloodshed. Because of you, you make me want to be better." She turned in his arms. "We make each other better. That's how this works." He kissed her softly, his hand moving to rest on her stomach. "And this little one? What kind of world will we give them?" "A complicated one, but one where they'll see their father choosing peace when he can, fighting only when he must, where they'll understand that people are complex, that good and evil aren't always clear, and that love means choosing someone fully, darkness and all." That's a lot of wisdom for someone who walked into my world less than a year ago. I had a good teacher, even if he's still learning himself. They stood there together, looking out at the city that had witnessed their story, the city where she'd been humiliated and defended, where she'd fallen in love and nearly died, where she'd chosen to build a life in a world she never imagined entering. It wasn't the fairy tale she'd dreamed of as a girl in Lesotho. It was harder, darker, more complicated. But it was real, and it was theirs. And sometimes, Sandra thought, that was enough. If you made it to the end of Sandra and Hyun-Woo's story, you're part of something special. This is exactly the kind of content we create here. Stories that don't shy away from the complicated truth of love, power, and the choices we make. Hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss our next story. Drop a comment telling me what you thought, whether Sandra made the right choice, and what kind of story you want to see next. And smash that like button if this story had you on the edge of your seat. See you in the next one.